Okay, so for this weekend's video, I wanted to just have a very quick conversation around personal finance related content online. The reason why I want to have this conversation is because I think it's very important that we reflect on what it is we're trying to achieve here on this channel and what you're trying to achieve in watching these videos. Now, I've made it very clear across many videos on my channel that the purpose of my content is to improve your financial education and your overall financial literacy so that you can achieve some level of financial independence in the future. And the reason why I'm making this video today is because I've been asked quite a lot lately, what is my opinion on the large number of content creators making personal finance content on the likes of YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And my general response to that question is that I think it's great. And the reason why I think it's great is because, irrespective of anything else, there are a lot more conversations happening now around the likes of investing and the stock market and the importance of personal finance in everyone's lives, which is fantastic. And for the most part, people are now thinking about how they can best utilize their cash outside of the traditional safety of a bank account. However, we can't be so naive to think that all personal finance content is good personal finance content. And I don't really want to get into the argument of this content creator is good because he or she creates this type of content, or this content creator is bad because he or she makes this type of content. That's not really what I want to achieve here. I just wanted to kind of voice my opinions on what I think of the whole personal finance content creation ecosystem at the moment and whether or not it's in a good place. So the first thing I want to say is that personal finance is personal. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say on this channel. It doesn't matter what any other content creator says on their channel or on TikTok. Every decision that you make when it comes to your money and how you choose to allocate it needs to be considered in the context of you as an individual. Where are you at in terms of your savings? Where are you at in terms of how much you're earning and where your career is at? What are your expenses and your liabilities? What's your attitude towards risk? All of those things have to be considered not only in the investment decision, but any personal finance decision dealing with things like mortgages, life assurance, budgeting, pensions, whatever it may be. Those factors have to be considered. Now, the issue with the large number of personal finance content creators on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram is that they're all competing with each other, including myself. We are all competing for viewers, because if you're not watching my video, you're watching someone else's video. And that mentality can be dangerous when it comes to content which ultimately deals with people's money. If we look at the gaming space, we know for a fact that lots of gamers, particularly on Warzone, for example, will use clickbait titles and clickbait thumbnails to draw in viewers to watch their video because they want them to watch their video rather than the video of another content creator. And okay, that's fair enough. But when it comes to investing and the stock market, as I said, this can be dangerous because we're talking about people's money here and what they choose to do with it. You will have noticed that up until now on my channel, I haven't made any videos discussing individual stocks or individual stock picks or anything like that. And it's not because I think that that content is bad personal finance content. And it is actually something that I will explore in the future because I am obviously interested in researching companies myself. But the reason why I chose not to lead out with that content is because there's so much to consider before ever looking at individual companies to invest in. As I mentioned, things like your overall tolerance for risk needs to be considered, your own personal financial circumstances, your own understanding of what it is you're investing in. Do you understand the risks of the market as a whole? These are all very theoretical topics and ones that are very important, but it's not necessarily something that's covered in great detail by content creators online. So for me, it made no sense to start a channel that was all about helping people improve their financial education by diving straight into stock analysis, because if I had done that, I would have completely skipped the first step of figuring out who you are as an investor, what you can afford to invest, what's your tolerance for risk, etc., etc. So what I found, particularly on TikTok, but also on YouTube and Instagram, is that personal finance content creators don't necessarily make their viewers aware that the investment decision has to be considered in the context of who they are as an individual. And what you have is stock analysis videos where the content creator is looking at the stock, giving their opinions on the stock and whether or not they are buying, selling, or holding the stock. And those videos can be accompanied by a clickbait title and also a clickbait thumbnail. Now again, you have to understand that YouTubers are competing with each other for views. And this is the same not only in the finance space, but every space on YouTube. The reason why clickbait titles and clickbait thumbnails are used is because they work. We as humans find it very, very difficult to resist that kind of marketing. But again, this can be dangerous when we're talking about people's money. What you need to understand as well is that most, if not all, financial content creators will say that their videos are for educational and entertainment purposes only and aren't meant to constitute advice. Now, I try to make that as clear as possible. It's in the description of all my videos. It's in the about section of my YouTube channel. And oftentimes I will actually say it in the video itself if it is needed to be reiterated in the video. But again, it's not necessarily something that's overemphasized by content creators, particularly on TikTok. And this could be an issue because there was a recent study done by creditcards.com in the US, which said that 28% of Gen Zers have gone onto social media platforms for financial advice. Now that's fine, and I'm not disputing the fact that the likes of TikTok is the new way that young people consume information. But what's important to remember is that just because someone has a personal finance YouTube channel or a personal finance TikTok page, it doesn't make them an expert in the area. And that doesn't mean that I'm an expert in the area either. But it just means that you have to take everything you hear with a grain of salt. And it doesn't matter how many likes and subscribers the person has. It doesn't matter how many comments are on the video. Everything you hear has to be taken with a grain of salt. And you should be doing your own research. I've mentioned before on other videos on the channel that the level of financial education that you personally have will directly impact the investment returns that you can expect over the life of your investing career. And that has to be true because the more educated we are on what we're doing and how we're investing, the more likely it is that we'll avoid suffering the catastrophic loss. But if you're not educated on what you're investing in, it's very, very likely that you're investing on the basis of emotion. It's very, very likely that you're investing on the basis of someone else's word. Then if that's the case, also likely that you'll probably cash out at a loss when things go against you. Anyway, the two things I want you to remember is that personal finance is personal. Everything has to be considered in the context of who you are as an individual, irrespective of what any YouTuber, including myself, tells you. The second thing I want you to remember is just because someone has a personal finance page on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, it does not mean that they're an expert. And it also means that you need to do your own individual research before making any investment decisions. It does not matter how many subscribers they have. The other point that was kind of on my mind during the week was just around the actual professional financial advisory space. Now, in most countries worldwide, in order to be able to operate as a professional financial advisor and to actually give people professional advice when it comes to investing in the stock market, you need to have completed examinations, you need to have had practical work experience, and if you are setting up your own business or your own company, you need to be regulated, which means that there are a defined set of rules that you must follow when giving someone advice. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to YouTubers and content creators because, as I mentioned, every YouTuber operates under the guise of educational and entertainment purposes only, which is true. I'm not saying that, they're trying to give you financial advice, but I'm just wondering whether in the future there's a conversation to be had about where's the line? Where's the accountability there? Because if you have a YouTuber who has a couple of million subscribers and is making content around individual stock analysis, clearly he or she has significant influence when it comes to what their viewers are actually investing in. So it does need to be considered whether regulators are asleep at the wheel when it comes to YouTubers making this content. And I'm not saying that I want the space to be regulated. It's just something that's important to consider when you're watching a stock analysis video and you're trying to make up your mind as to whether or not you should invest in a particular company. Just remember that if this person was actually acting as a proper professional financial advisor, they would have to have completed exams, they would have had practical financial working experience, and they would have to be regulated. So for a lot of content creators, they have none of those three things. So that should kind of guide you as to whether or not their opinion can really be trusted. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking there because this is the potential to turn into a very ranty video and a very, very long video, and that's not what I want here. But effectively, just remember to take everything that you hear on this channel, on other channels, on TikTok and Instagram with a grain of salt, okay? Don't believe everything you hear just because it's said by someone who has a personal finance channel. It does not mean they're an expert. So I really hope you enjoyed the video here today. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please do let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.